The Nevada desert stretched endlessly under a sky heavy with stars, a vast canvas of solitude that Dr. Elena Vasquez had come to love during her late-night drives home from the Tonopah Research Station. On this night, February 24, 2025, the silence shattered with a sound like tearing metal, followed by a streak of violet fire slashing across the heavens. Elena slammed her Jeep's brakes, tires skidding on the cracked asphalt as the object, massive, angular, and glowing, crashed into the dunes a mile ahead. Sand exploded upward, glinting in the moonlight like a fleeting galaxy. Heart racing, Elena grabbed her field kit from the passenger seat. 15 years as a biophysicist, studying energy systems for the Department of Defense, hadn't prepared her for this, but instinct drove her forward. She navigated the Jeep off-road, the vehicle bouncing over rocky terrain until she reached the crater's edge. The air buzzed with static, and the scent of ozone stung her nose. At the center lay a craft unlike anything human-made, its hull shimmered like molten glass, edges shifting as if alive. And then she saw it, a figure clawing its way from the wreckage. It was tall, over 7 feet, with a frame both elegant and alien. Its skin glowed faintly gold, mottled with fractal patterns that pulsed like breathing embers. Instead of hair, tendrils of light wove a halo around its head, dimming and flaring with each larboard movement. The being stumbled, clutching a jagged wound in its side where a dark, shimmering liquid oozed. Elena's training kicked in. She raised her hands, stepping forward. "I'm a scientist. I can help you." The alien's head snapped up, its eyes twin orbs of molten amber. "Step away, lesser being," it said, voice resonating like a struck gong, layered with frequencies that vibrated in her chest. Despite the command, it staggered and fell to one knee, the light tendrils flickering erratically. Elena noticed the precision of its English, too perfect, almost artificial. She edged closer, hands still raised. "You hurt?" "I'm Dr. Elena Vasquez. Let me stop the bleeding." The alien's gaze sharpened, assessing her. "I am Kaelith, Arbiter of the Lumora Concord," Elena realized from the softer curves of her form, intoned. "Your kind lacks the capacity to comprehend my state." Pain laced her words as she tried to rise again, only to collapse further, the dark fluid pooling beneath her. Elena knelt beside her, unzipping her kit. "Capacity or not, I know trauma when I see it. You've got seconds before you lose too much of whatever that is." She gestured to the shimmering liquid. "Let me try, Arbiter Kaelith, or you'll die making proclamations." A flicker of something, amusement, crossed Kaelith's face. "Your audacity is unexpected. Proceed, but do not expect miracles from your crude tools." Elena wasted no time, pulling out a portable scanner she'd designed to detect bioelectric fields. The device whirred, struggling to parse Kaelith's physiology. Her blood wasn't blood at all, but a lattice of luminous particles, carrying energy rather than oxygen. The wound bore scorch marks, energy weapons, not crash damage. "You were attacked," Elena said, applying a sterile compress to slow the flow. "Who's after you?" Kaelith's tendrils dimmed. "Dissidents within the Concord. They reject my directive to seek alliance with emerging worlds like yours, fearing your unpredictability will unravel our order." She hissed as Elena pressed harder. "They struck my vessel to silence me." "Sounds like they're scared of change," Elena muttered, swapping the compress for a coagulant spray. "Hold still, this might sting." The spray hissed against Kaelith's skin, and she flinched, but the bleeding slowed. Above them, the sky pulsed with new lights, too steady for stars, too numerous for planes. Kaelith's eyes widened. "They've tracked me. You must conceal me, Dr. Vasquez." If they find me here, your world will pay the price. Elena glanced at the approaching lights, then back at Kaelith. Her career, her quiet life studying energy grids, all of it paled against this moment. She could call Tonopah, hand Kaelith over, and let the military dissect this mess. Or, my station has a shielded sublevel, she said, helping Kaelith to her feet. No records, no oversight. Can you walk? With assistance, Kaelith replied, leaning heavily on Elena. Her weight was surprisingly light, as if her body defied gravity's full grip. Why aid me? Your leaders would reward you for my surrender. Because I'd rather understand you than exploit you, Elena said, guiding her to the jeep. And because I think you're right, unpredictability might be exactly what both our kinds need. The drive was tense, headlights off, the jeep weaving through shadow dunes as alien craft hummed overhead. Kaelith's glow dimmed further, her breathing shallow. Your vehicle is primitive, she murmured, yet effective. Story of humanity, Elena quipped. We make do. At Tonopah, Elena bypassed the main entrance, slipping into a service tunnel that led to her private lab. The sublevel was a concrete bunker lined with equipment, oscilloscopes, power cells, and her experimental energy modulator. She settled Kaelith onto a workbench, rigging a makeshift bed. Stay here. I need to figure out what's keeping you alive. Kaelith watched as Elena hooked the scanner to her modulator, tweaking settings. Your machines are rudimentary, but your intent is clear. The lattice in my form, Lumary, channels our life force. The dissident's weapons disrupted it. Like an EMP for your biology, Elena mused, studying the readings. The Lumary particles oscillated at a unique frequency, now erratic. If I can stabilize that, she adjusted the modulator, emitting a low hum that synced with Kaelith's fading pulses. Slowly, the tendrils of light brightened, and her skin regained its golden sheen. Remarkable, Kaelith breathed. You've approximated our restoration fields with this? Basic physics, Elena said, grinning despite herself. Same principles, different tools. Their breakthrough was cut short by a tremor shaking the lab. Dust sifted from the ceiling as Kaelith tensed. They are here. The dissidents, and your forces, drawn by the crash. Elena checked her hacked security feeds. Alien craft hovered above, their sleek forms dwarfed by human helicopters circling the site. Ground troops, both species, converged. They've teamed up, she realized, spotting a human officer signaling an alien figure in dark armor. Your dissidents must have offered a deal. Kaelith forced herself upright, tendrils flaring. Zorath, their leader. He'll promise technology, then betray your kind once I'm dead. We must act. Elena's mind raced. The modulator still hummed, its energy field active. Your Lumary, it's tied to your tech, right? If I amplify this frequency, you could overload their systems, Kaelith finished, catching on. But it risks destabilizing me as well. Trust me, Elena said, cranking the modulator's output. The room vibrated as energy surged outward. On the feeds, alien soldiers faltered, their weapons sparking, while human troops hesitated, confused. Kaelith gripped the bench, her glow flickering but holding. It's working, she said, or threading her voice. They are withdrawing. Not fast enough, Elena replied, hearing boots in the tunnel. The door burst open, revealing soldiers, human, rifles raised. Stand down! Elena shouted, stepping in front of Kaelith. She's not your enemy. A grizzled colonel lowered his weapon slightly. Dr. Vasquez, you're aiding an extraterrestrial. Step aside. She's an ally, Elena countered. Her people's rebels attacked her for wanting peace with us. You'll deal with them? It's a trap, check your intel. They'll get Earth the second they don't need you. Kaelith stood, regal despite her borrowed lab coat. I am Arbiter Kaelith. This human saved me when my own kind sought my end. Her innovation disrupted their assault. Judge us not by fear, but by what we've built together. The colonel hesitated, then barked into his radio. Minutes later, he scowled. Satellites caught their ships powering up weapons against us. You're telling the truth. Then let's talk, Elena said. Not as captors, but as partners. What followed was a whirlwind of diplomacy. In Tonopah's command center, Elena and Kaelith faced human officers and a holo-projected Lumora council, Zoratha's faction sidelined after their failed coup. Elena displayed her modulator's data, proving humanity's potential. Kaelith argued for alliance, her tendrils blazing with conviction. Your adaptability complements our precision, she told the council. This human turned our own science against our foes. Together, we could evolve beyond our limits. General Patel, the human lead, rubbed his chin. You're asking us to share everything, tech, knowledge. That's a leap. Isolation's the bigger risk, Elena said. Look what one scientist and one arbiter did in a day. Imagine years. Zoratha's hologram snarled. This defiles our legacy. Your legacy nearly killed me, Kaelith shot back. Change is our strength now. Hours of debate yielded a tentative accord, joint research, starting with Elena's lab. As dusk fell, Kaelith's repaired ship gleamed outside, not departing but anchoring a new era. She turned to Elena. You've altered our path, Dr. Vasquez. I'll need a liaison, someone bold enough to challenge an arbiter and win. Elena chuckled. Careful, Kaelith. I might think you're starting to like us or lesser beings. Perhaps I am, Kaelith admitted, her tendrils softening. Our proverb says light bends through the smallest prism to reveal the widest spectrum. I see its truth now. Above, stars pierced the twilight, once distant, now within reach. Humanity's leap into the cosmos began not with war, but with a scientist's choice to heal, and an alien's choice to trust. The road ahead loomed with challenges, but as Elena watched Kaelith's ship signal the first joint project, she knew they'd lit a spark neither world could extinguish.